Magdalene's blog 21. One of these approached Ayala and spoke with her in tones that told me they had met before. Ayala introduced him to us as Cripper, and he offered us some wine too. He was a smooth talker, and he seemed to take a special interest in Helena. A couple of his friends also came over to talk to us, but I was more interested in watching the dancing and listening to the music. There was something very presumptuous about them that I didn't like. Carmel was practicing with one of the dance groups, and watching them and the musicians working together was exciting. I sipped the wine and enjoyed the atmosphere. Helena was still talking to the one called Cripper, and I noticed Ayala looking rather irritatedly at them. She obviously had no interest in his friends either, but instead flounced away towards another couple of men that were sitting watching the dancers. I could feel Ayala's jealousy as she drank down her wine, glancing back at her younger sister, all the while flirting with one of the dance watchers. Then she joined the dance herself, at the end of the line, removing her cloak and swaying her hips before the men, oozing allure. Helena and Cripper were watching her now, and Cripper had slipped an arm around the younger sister's waist. I watched transfixed as one of the least pleasant of the seated men got to his feet and moved over towards Ayala. Being passive watchers was not going to be enough. She had encouraged their intentions, and now she had to deal with them. She turned away from him, making it clear that she wasn't interested in him, and I felt a strong urge to go and help her, to pull her away whilst I still could. Crossing quickly over to them, I tried to show as much authority as I could pretend to have. One part of my mind told me to get the silver-bladed knife up from the pouch inside my cloak, but instinct told me that my voice was my best resource. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw one of the musicians sliding away, sensing possible trouble. Coward, I thought, feeling anything but calm myself. The man had grabbed Ayala by the arm, pulling her to him. "Release the priestess," I said in what I thought was a commanding tone. Ayala's expression was that of any frightened young girl. The man looked dangerously drunk. He looked at me and sneered. "Harlot," he said, spitting the word at me. "I shall have this one." Another man had come up behind me, trying to put an arm around my waist. His breath stank. "Take your hands off me," I said as loudly as I could, but my mouth had gone dry, and the words were hardly more than a squeak. Others had moved towards where we were stood, Cripper being one of them, clear concern showing on his face. The man holding me had pulled out a concealed knife from within his clothing. No men were permitted to bring weapons into the temple grounds. He reached towards Cripper and would have cut him with a vicious swipe if the boy hadn't jumped back. "Stay away and we won't touch you," he said as the other pulled a terrified Ayala away towards the bushes beyond the torch and brazier light. I was stunned, and the man holding his knife menacingly close to my face started to push me in the same direction. I thought of my own little curved blade that was really meant for cutting the woody stems of herbs, and my shaking fingers struggled uselessly to penetrate the folds of my cloak. Bushes scraped against my thighs as I was pushed out beyond the brazier light. Fear was like cold fingers clutching in my chest. From behind us came a bark command. "Drop that knife!" The man holding me swung towards the intruding voice, knife outstretched, as a short club stick came down on his inner forearm. The knife fell from nerveless fingers. Gaius had been alerted by the musician, and it was he who disarmed the knife man. Bacco, following closely behind, chased after the other man that had now deserted Ayala, heading for the gate at a sprint, and was gone. The knife man wasn't so lucky. Gaius and Bacco led him away. The party broke up quickly. Everyone dispersed, and Carmel took me under her wing, whilst the two sisters clung to each other, sobbing. Nothing very much was made of the incident. Once Gaius had made some sort of report, Bell gave us all a strong lecture about the meaning of our service, taking Ayala away to admonish her more privately. Ayala was on kitchen duty for every evening of the next week. Dance practices carried on under stricter supervision, with no extras joining in. The game must go on. Small incidents like this were to be expected when novices were involved. We had our important uses, though, and as the weather had turned milder, we were once again encouraged to join the trips into the city. Spring rites were not too far away.